Hey, welcome back to another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. Today we got on none other than Leslie Harpole and Cassie Pound. They are amazing operators, but today we got into their new podcast, what they're going to be launching, the Power Women of the Trades. Thad, what was your favorite episode or favorite part from this episode?
Outtakes. All right. I'll be PG on this part. I think really, how do you connect with somebody? And it's not most people think that you connect over successes. It's actually not. The one part that you wanted to, I mean, there's lots of parts you want to tune into, but being real and connecting with somebody is this one thing. Be sure to check that out. Cassie, how about yourself?
I think we have to remember that we're a world filled full of adults that are just processing the traumas of their life, and we don't have a playbook.
That was a great part.
Yep. Leslie, how about you?
I think the best part for me is talking about how we show up for ourselves, and for me in our marriage helps me show up in my business and to help on our team.
I love it. And for me, it was definitely that everyone wins in different ways, and stop judging yourself and comparing yourself to other people's shit, because you don't know what they've been through to get to where they're at. And most people don't reveal that online. So stop paying attention to social media and stop comparing yourself to others. Run your own race, win your own race. That part was fucking awesome. But we want to hear from you. So make sure during this episode, you leave a comment down below. What was your favorite part? And we look forward to seeing you on the live show next Wednesday. Cheers. Hey, welcome back to Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, buddy. Good to see you. You're
cheers. Well, I whispered "fuck off" in the intro, and I was just like, because I had to try to get the screen off, and then have our little rocket sound play. But it popped up because we do the individual recordings, and there's an error message that popped up. I mean, we're still live; everything's good. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this works out.
The video's just going to start with a fuck off at the beginning. So it'll be great. Everyone will tune in
there we go.
because of that. Awesome. I'm stoked for this show. It's the first one of the year. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2023. For those of you that 2022 was not as great as it could have been, hey, I hope this year is going to be better. For those of you that it was great, fuck yeah, let's do it all over again.
Yeah, bud.
The show was great last year. We're starting it off with a bang this year. We've got Cassie Pound and Leslie Harpole, Oklahoma City girls. Not actually Oklahoma City, but Oklahoma State. I'm super stoked for this show because they've got a new podcast that they're launching, and we're going to be diving into all of that today. We are sponsoring their show as well, which is exciting. So we're super excited to talk about that a little bit today as well. But to give you some background information on them, we've had both of them on the show in the past. So if you haven't listened to those individual episodes, go back and listen to those. Cassie got the full one. Leslie, unfortunately, only got a little half her while we were down in Phoenix. It was a great show with Leslie. So please go check that one out because it got really raw, really real, super authentic. It was a great episode. Both of them are owners and operators of their companies. We've got Quality Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing in Oklahoma, and then Champion Plumbing, also in Oklahoma, with Leslie. And both of them also run businesses with their husbands, where their husbands were technicians in the field, crushing it, needed help on the business side. And that's where both of these women stepped up huge. And I think both of them, Oscar and Brent, would both say that the reason for the business success is because of these two women and the amazing job that they're doing in their businesses. So I'm super stoked for this conversation today.
That's going to be a lot of fun. What I was trying to say earlier is that Leslie's podcast that we did down in Phoenix was at least, I mean, Brent might be a little bit biased, but I side with him. That's probably one of the best podcasts that he's listened to. So there we go. Be sure to check that one out. Cassie's was number 2. Sorry, Cassie. All right. Well, let's dive in.
Starting already.
Right. Our show would not be possible. Our travels would not be possible without our sponsors. Obviously, the first one, Sarah Systems. If you're not familiar with Sarah Systems, they are field service management software. They help you run the back end of your business, real-time tracking job time efficiency, dynamic dispatching, pricing models, memberships, you name it. Here's the thing that I like about it, though, is that their users on average have an increase of revenue of 52% within the first 6 months while doubling their profits. Be sure to give that a go. To get on there, sales.sarah.tech/HVAC-revealed to book a demo.
Amazing. And of course, our other sponsor, Profit Rocket and the Profit Rocket Business Blueprint. If you're an HVAC owner and you're looking to grow your company, not only the top line, but the bottom line revenue, you got to go check out the Profit Rocket Blueprint. It's out, it's launched. Book your demo today. I believe it's 150 businesses have already signed up for this blueprint already. And the feedback has been absolutely phenomenal. It's all the systems, all the procedures that you need for every position within your company, whether it's the CSRs, the technicians, managers, etc. Everything's in there, and they're continuing to add to it every single month. It's phenomenal. Go check it out. Call profitrocket.com, book your demo today, and check out the blueprint. Let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Cassie, Leslie, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back. What, have I been here?
A little bit of backstory and the inside joke is that Cassie made a post and I went to look in our file folder. I'm like, yeah, she's been on. No, she hasn't been on. And in my mind in Phoenix, I'm like, we got to have Cassie on. She hasn't been on the show. And this is the story that I made up in Phoenix. I'm like, nah, she had to have been on. And so I forgot all about it. And then you made that post. I'm like, I'll look at our folder, and I hit Control F and I searched her name and nothing showed up. I'm like, well, shit, I guess she hasn't been on. So I made the comment to that. And then Evan's like, dude, she's been on our show. I'm like, no. So I re-looked in the folder. I was like, fuck, she has been on the show. And I remember it all now vividly. I was just having a super big brain fart on a fake story I told myself.
Good. Hey, it happened. It happened.
Dad life, right?
Right?
That's the truth.
That was the second best because mine was number one.
I agree.
Yes.
Right?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to clarify that.
No, I think you're spot on. It was 100%.
Amazing. Well, I want to dive into the podcast and get right to it. So Power Women of the Trades, that is the podcast. Super excited. As soon as I saw the post that you put out that you were launching this podcast, I got super excited right away. Number one, because it just needs to be talked about more, having women in the trades. And having a show that goes out on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, even a monthly basis would be phenomenal. But you are didn't do it really uniquely, which I'm excited for you to talk more about. So that was number one, why I got excited. Number two is because it was you two. And I think your personalities are going to work so well together on a show. So I'm super stoked for it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the mission and the goal and like why you felt like this was needed and how it came to fruition?
Do you want me to lead that, ma'am?
Take it away, sis.
Take it away. For me, I've been working on Leslie for a couple of years. I have obviously, you guys know I have such an opinion on everything in life, and
really?
Right. My husband has no clue either. Right? So I just felt like we were being misrepresented, or not represented at all, and. Leslie and I talk about this all the time. We're not feminists. Like, we're just not, but we want to showcase the women of the trades, the women that are doing the work that aren't getting that. And for years, I've been talking to Leslie, and then I finally, because just like what you said, I thought we would be a great pair. And and she told me no a few times. She was like, I just don't know. And then I was just like, Leslie, and she's like, I told her to pray about it. I did. And then it evolved, and it was just the right time. And then we just started launching, and we started talking behind the scenes to some people to get some things going, get some fillers. And then here we are. So.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I actually think Evan's frozen. I thought for once that it was me, but it actually appears that it is Evan this time. And I was waiting for him to lead into his next question. So, I guess in terms of it, when are you guys looking to start? When's your first episode going to drop?
So originally we were launching February 1st, and then someone from the AHR Expo reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, the timing is so close. Why don't you launch from our expo on, I think it's the 6th through the 8th. So we decided to push it a week. We're gonna launch from their podcast pavilion, and we're super excited. I mean, all of this happened really quickly. It got announced sooner than it was supposed to. We're both planners and had been working on things, but really when we announced it, we were going to announce our arrival, right? Not like we were still working on it, not talk about our plan. And so we announced it. It got announced a little bit sooner. And then with them asking us to launch from that expo, it changed even more. So we're going to launch from that expo. And then after that, there will be a new show out every week.
Nice. No, I subscribe to a philosophy that done is better than perfect. And when you subscribe to that and when you have that philosophy, you tend to get things done a lot quicker, in my opinion, because you just get it out there, you get it done, you move forward, and it's really exciting when people actually put that forward in there. So I guess in terms of the guests, like, I mean, obviously once people look at our show and what we do in terms of bringing on business owners, what's the type of people that you're going to be bringing on? Who are you going to be interviewing?
So sorry,
we're learning. Hey, we got a time, like we're all like not syncing very well on our I guess that's why we lost him, but we actually are podcasting together in the same room. Ooh. So we don't have to do this. And we're super excited about that. But so we don't have to like jump over each other, because I think we read each other's cues better probably. But Leslie, go ahead.
Well, so our focus is really just to shine the light on other leaders. And, you know, it came up in a discussion that are there women with the business acumen that can go to these events and be speakers? And there are, and we're going to go find them. We're part of Nexstar, and there are some amazing female owners that are running huge businesses that we want to go find them and talk to them. You know, it's about message and representation. That's really where we're at. Is we want to focus on these ladies that are doing that and go find them. I mean, really. So in case anyone asks where they are, we're going to present them to you.
We're going to have it. We know it. We've got some that have committed, and it's one of a couple of people that gives you a little goosebumps that we're going to get to talk to them. You know, I think sometimes in our little trade bubble, we all think that the world only exists on Facebook. And then when you start going to some of these trade events and you see these companies that are just like not really caring about that Facebook world, we know they're there, and we know that they are big deals. And so we're super excited, like giddy.
You care to drop any cliffhangers on who you might be having on? Any hints?
Not yet. Sneaky. Not yet.
Dang! I was kind of hoping to get something out of there, but you know, but it's funny. Like,
probably wouldn't even know because they're not even on Facebook, but like they're out there doing this, and that it makes it a little more difficult. They're not people that are going to be at any of these shows that you might see. But they've just been out there living it and not talking about it.
And right. We hope that maybe they will be the people that are at the shows and the things next, because we're going to be able to showcase who they are and what they're doing. And I think people, especially women, who are co-owners or managers or general managers or whatever, are going to be able to find a connection in, and that's super exciting.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And, you know, it's funny because the world only exists on Facebook. And as we're streaming live on Facebook right now, but also YouTube and also LinkedIn, the Women in HVACR event in Phoenix was an absolute eye opener. I mean, for myself too, but even having conversations with, you know, the two of you individually, or, you know, when we're sitting around eating 30 pounds of taquitos because Leslie, you know, wanted to order a whole bunch of taquitos, or even just in the podcast, or just talking with individuals. Like there's this such bigger network out there that if Facebook always gets the loud ones, right? So you're always seeing the same people over and over and over again, right? I guess in terms of that, you know, living and not talking about it, if somebody wants to start talking about it, I mean, obviously jumping on your guys' podcast, jumping on our podcast, those sorts of things. What sort of a message do you have for the people that might be scared to open up?
Well, something I think is so important is and what keeps people from actually opening up is a lot of people are being sold on an idea that isn't reality. And once you are just really, I think as leaders, as owners, everyone is a leader, but it's just so important for us to be real about the hardship that comes with owning and running a business and being a female, being a mom, being a wife. And so I always when I go to sleep at night and if I've talked to someone, there have been people that are like, oh, you seem like you have it all together. And I'm like, why would you think that? And I don't want to ever give off the impression that I have it together, because that is going to block anyone from coming my way that I can have a real conversation with, right? It's like we connect over our struggles, right? We don't connect over our success. So if we can be vulnerable on social media, if we can talk about the problems we're having, or whatever it may be, you get people in your DM just going, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. That leads to another conversation that maybe they were afraid to have because they were intimidated by what was going on in one of these groups or whatever. And I really think that's where all the magic happens. Like, transparency is everything, because most of the time what you're seeing is not reality. Or it's in a box and you're like, oh, well, I don't fit in that box and my business doesn't fit in that box. But, I still want to do this, but I'm afraid to even ask because I feel intimidated by the people that are posting these things. So I just think it's really important to be transparent everywhere, right? Because that's how you connect with people.
Yep.
So true. The idea that isn't reality. And one of the things that I was thinking about there is we actually had a conversation with somebody a little bit earlier today, just in the agency space, something that he's building and he's working on as well. And he's like, yeah, I want to go to, this big of a business. He's like, some people might think that it's a small agency, and his number actually is a fairly decent sized digital agency for his MRR in terms of what he's going to accomplish. I'm like, well, no, that's your definition of success. He's like, just because somebody else has a goal to be triple or quadruple or 10x the size of it, it doesn't matter, because that's your idea of success. And I always like to caution this too, because you see a lot of the most noisiest people on social media, and they're talking about, you've got to build this business to 20 million. You've got to build this business to 50 million. You got to build this business to 100 million. Well, no, if you're happy being a $3 million per year business, then great. Stay a $3 million per year business. If you're happy being a chuck in a truck, stay being a chuck in the truck. Do what your definition of success is. And I think more people need to understand that, right?
Well, and
since you mentioned
I'd like to say, not to interrupt, everybody wins. Everybody wins in different ways. Success is different to each and every person. And it's so often that it's the Instagram version that is the only definition of success that we're all trying to level up to. But, one thing about like why I decided to say yes to Cassie finally is because I was like, I already feel like I'm winning. I feel like I am living the things that I prayed for 5 years ago. And it doesn't really matter at this point now if it's not someone else's definition of success, because like I feel like I'm winning because I overcame something personal in my life to get to the point where I just didn't care. And that was huge for me. So winning is different for everyone, and everyone wins in a different way. So someone's life on Facebook of the 20 million or the car or whatever it may be, that's not winning to me. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Right. Yep. Well, it reminds me of a post that I saw. I don't remember who posted it or when it was. It was about a year ago, of a mom and a daughter, and they're going to a pool. And they show up at the pool, and the mom and their daughter go out, and they get all their beach chairs all nice and ready, and they get, their towels out. And the mom sits down. Daughter's like, I want to go play in the pool. Okay, you can go play in the pool. And then, this could be dads too, by the way. This is just a story, right? Of, taking the photos, the selfies in the pool. You're having a pool day with my daughter, right? Daughter's in the pool. Hey, mom, can we come play? Hey, mom, can you come play? Hey, mom, can you come play? It's like, oh yeah, just a couple more minutes. For more photos. Goes over. Hey, come take a photo with me. Takes a couple photos with the daughter. Daughter goes back to the pool. Hey, mom, come play. And mom's like, oh, time to go. Didn't even go into the pool and play. But yet all you saw on social media was this perfect image of a mom and a daughter at a pool having a great day by themselves. Meanwhile, it was rife with this an opportunity to be able to connect with your family. And I think a lot of people don't see that part on Instagram. They don't see because they put on that fake facade, right?
Definitely,
yes,
for sure.
that happens. It does. And
Oh.
and I think we want to help decipher like the real, like the raw, and all, you know, everyone always says it's like the most overused phrase of, you know, social media is the highlight reel, but it is. And the truth of it is it's the highlight reel of all these businesses on Facebook too. It just is, because no one's going to get on Facebook and say, we lost our ass last year and we made no money and we did this and this and this, because that's not the cool thing to say. But the truth is that all of the businesses that are on Facebook, every single one of them had some type of adversity last year. Everybody. It doesn't matter how much they do, how much they make, or how much they don't make. Every single person had a problem, but they're not always willing to be humble enough to say that. And I think as women, we are more prone to talking more and opening up when we know there's been a problem. You know, me and Leslie got so much closer in our personal relationship when I was finally able to say, dude, we got this big problem. And she was like, oh my God, we have the same thing. And I was like, you know, but the walls came down because now it wasn't a show anymore of how big my revenue book is. At the end of the day, I'm here for profit too, you know, and so I think with women for sure, like I said, it's just, you have to show that vulnerability
Whiskey
to be able to get, it is the whiskey. So.
Well, and I think the one thing I do want to recognize as well is, like Leslie, with what you talked about, it takes a tremendous amount of self-awareness to realize what it is that you're actually going after and whether or not you've achieved that, and to stop comparing yourself to others. And I'm not saying that you don't compare yourself to others in every facet, right? I know it happens for me still, where I catch myself comparing myself to others and what I see online or what I hear about or who I talk to. Like it's very easy to get caught up in that. But to take a step back and realize, like, what race am I trying to win here is so important.
Hard, right? Because even though we don't want to do this, we still value like external forces. We still get validation externally from places we shouldn't. And I think being aware of that about yourself is like the first step to recovering from it, because I'm guilty of that. I mean, for so much of my 20s and my 30s, I'm in my 40s now, so I have a little bit of wisdom, but it is so easy.
Oh, she's frozen. So it's all good. My next question was going to be for you, Cassie, anyways, because Leslie mentioned it. In terms of, you know, one of the things that we were chatting about was adversity and overcoming challenges and struggles, especially as a business, as a mom, as a wife, etc. Right? When you think back to your 2022, in your biggest adversity that you've had to overcome, that you're wanting to share, obviously, what would it be?
Man, that's rough because, you know, because I had no problems, you know, honestly.
Business is perfect. It's easy running a business.
Great. I think that a big piece of it is truly that I had to stop giving a damn about what everybody thought and said and what type of businesses, you know, with private equity coming in so hard in the last year or so, I was living in this like almost like FOMO. Am I going to mess up? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And I was literally ruining my life. You know, like I was making everything so much harder. What am I supposed to be doing? What am I not? And I was listening to so many outside opinions. And so I got to the point that I almost had a mental breakdown, honestly, like truthfully, what am I doing? And so I think the biggest thing that I had to overcome this year was not giving a damn about what everyone else in the world was chattering about. And I needed to stay in the lane of what works for me, because even like with our podcast, when we go live, we're just here giving experiences and what's happening, but that might not be the secret for you. And I was guilty of taking everybody's secret and trying to make it adaptable in my life, whether it was my personal life or my business life. And I think once I really recognized that I was allowing that to control so much of me, and I let it go, I started actually being able to grow my business and myself personally.
That's good.
I think he's froze too now.
No,
We're
I'm
now
back
the
now.
host.
The host of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. It's just marred with technical difficulties today. You know, this is the shitty part about going live. And so if anybody ever asks, you know, on a podcast, you know, what's the biggest risk? Well, going live with it like we do, because you see fuck ups like this happen and you had no choice but to roll with it. Whereas if we were you know, recording, we would just pause and away we go and go from there. So I guess in terms of like this whole idea of you know, the fear and you know, the FOMO and self-recognition and trying to implement this into every new idea that you get into your business, how do you filter through some of that? Because there's a lot.
Look, I want to take this.
Yeah.
Because we talked about, Cassie and I have talked about this, and I think
Sure.
Okay, well, number one, you have to like cut the noise out of social media and the groups and the gurus. Like unfollow, leave the groups, whatever you need to do. You have to get clear on your goals. And for us, that was finding a group or a coach that like they hold you to the fire and they hold you accountable, and you got to know your numbers. And I hate numbers. I don't want to know my numbers. And now I know too much. And, but like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think so many people get so distracted by everything they see because it's something someone else implemented. It's like, oh, we need to go over here. And then someone else did something else in a different group. Oh, I need to go do that. And if you have to be consistent in every single process and every single goal, I mean, every day, you gotta write it down. What are we doing? You gotta break it down from yearly to monthly to weekly. What does that look in each department? And you gotta hold those people accountable. You gotta meet with them and hold them accountable. And you have to be really clear. You know, your team wants to be coached and they want structure and accountability. And when you give them that, there's almost freedom. They're like, okay, now I can use my gifts. I know exactly what they want. Here's what they want. Here's what they expect of me. And, you know, you got to let them go do it.
Yep.
So we hear there's a lot of coaches in the space, a lot good ones, bad ones, okay ones. How do you cipher through? How do you find the right coach?
It's rough. You know, for me and for my business, I knew that we needed to be a part of a group. I couldn't rely on one person. And I'm not saying that one person isn't right, but what I was looking for was more. I wanted a call center manager coach. I wanted a business coach. I wanted a service coach. I wanted all of those things. And so for me specifically, I was looking for a group. So whenever I found Nexstar, that was what I was looking for. I was looking for a success group. You know, but when I was at 1 million in revenue or 2 and under, I know that wouldn't have been ideal. And back then I didn't have a coach and I made bad choices, jumping in and talking and following and subscribing. And it's hard because you know, Leslie and I talk about this a lot. We get this question probably the most often in our DMs is, what would you recommend? Who would you recommend? And it's really hard to put my stamp of approval or my stamp on someone who I haven't worked with and who I don't know anything about. And so I always, you know, when that recommendation comes up, I try to just steer to groups until I know otherwise, because that's a heavy weight to bear, to be the person that recommends a coach that could jeopardize someone's business.
Right.
It's rough. Scary.
Right. Well, and I think different coaches have different purposes for different stages of business growth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like there's coaches out there that specialize in getting guys to $1 million. And then they're like, I'm done. I did my job. I got you to $1 million. You know, there's other guys that are out there that are great, getting you from, you know, that 1 million to 5 million and so on and so forth. So, what was the best exercise that you can do to get clear on your goals? Either one of you guys, it doesn't really matter.
So
Leslie's good.
I'll take it. I picture what I want my life to look like. And I say, what do I want my life to look like in a year from now? Every year I do this practice. I post about it the other day. It's a page called The One Page Miracle by Dr. Amen. And it breaks it down by business, personal, different relationships, emotional health, spiritual health. We're really clear on what we want for our business because we just did budget planning. We had our coach come in, and that was just the best money I've ever spent. Honestly, having him come in for Brent and I, just, thank goodness for these brilliant people that are brilliant with numbers and can talk to people like me and Brent and help us understand. I mean, what a blessing. So once we looked at that, and then I looked at what do I want for my business, and my business leads to my personal. I'm like, what do I want my life to look like in a year? What do I want my relationship to look like with my kids, my husband, at work? What do we want to accomplish? We're building out a new department right now. I mean, all of that was broken down into budget planning and the business planning. And then we kind of do one for our personal lives as well. And so I write it down. So I have it right on I have it listed next to my computer where I work, and I look at it every day. And I see it every day, and I'm like, I haven't done anything about it yet. I better get on it, and it's just, and it's having we do like a weekly L10 meeting with our management, 30 minutes, talk about problems. What are your rocks for the quarter? What do you want to accomplish? Check in on those you can accomplish a lot in a really short amount of time if you're focused. It doesn't have to take hours and hours, because I'm tired of meetings and my people are tired of meetings. It's just about getting really clear and then using that time really intentionally.
Well, you look at something called Death by Meeting. I think it's a Patrick Lencioni book. To be honest, I'm trying to remember. I haven't read it. I've read this, I've read the Coles Notes version of it. But people don't like to sit in meetings, right? You talk you mentioned the L10. That's the Entrepreneur's Operating System, EOS. If you follow that framework, you can accomplish a lot in meetings if you stay on point. And if you can stay on point and you can direct your team to stay on point, you can accomplish a ton within those, right? So
I always set a timer on my phone, and as soon as someone starts getting off, and I'm the worst because I'm a squirrel, right? I'm like, oh, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to come back to you later. We just keep it really, and then we recap it, because you can go down a rabbit hole in just about anything in your business.
Well, so do you guys have a tangent word? Like if somebody's going on a tangent, do you have a special word for your meetings that you interrupt, or you just yell tangent? It's from the EOS, right? So like they say when you're running your L10 and you're running your 90-minute meetings, that if somebody goes on a tangent, you'd have to interrupt them with the word tangent, or you can set like a safe word, so to speak. Do you guys have one?
No, but I think we should.
I feel like I say squirrel.
There you go. Right. Well, it's a refocuser, right? If somebody starts to go down a path that you don't think is relevant to the topic or the meeting, like you said, you set a timer, you let them go. Are they going somewhere? Well, you just interrupt them and you say tangent alert or squirrel or pineapple or whatever the heck other word, the unicorn, I don't know, make it up. Right. But now it's this word that reframes people, that brings them back down. So safe word. All right. This sounds like a perfect time to jump into the random question generator. I did not think I would be doing the show today solo, so I don't know where Evan went. But
did we lose Evan in the show already?
Oh yeah, he's gone. So he messaged me on Facebook and says the local recordings. So StreamYard, which is the platform that we use for our podcast, came out with something called local recordings. So it actually records each one of us separately in 1080p, as well as our audio separately too. So that way, when we use it later for snippets, that we actually have high quality snippets, not low quality. But he's apparently having some issues with the local recording in his computer not working. At least that's what his story is. I don't really know, but he gone and I'm rolling solo. So it happens sometimes.
I feel like this has been a very humbling experience for us too, because going into our podcast, I think Leslie and I are like super nervous of like setting ourselves up to be these professionals that we're not yet. We're just like we're not. And so I think we probably both needed to see this like screw up a little bit, just like fall apart, because you guys handled it super well. There he is. You guys handled it super well. You just kept going. And honestly, the truth is, well, I mentioned earlier, we're going to podcast in the same room because she probably needs to be able to like kick me and tell me to shut up or whatever. But because when stuff like that happens, that's why we hired a producer also, though. Because when stuff like that happens, I'm going to be like, I'm done.
Time to go home.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Well,
Are you guys going to drink? Are you going to
see
drink
the
on your
hole
show?
in my wall right here where I just like put my fist through it? No, I'm just kidding.
I like the drink. I want to have wine.
There you go.
Like wine, Leslie?
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
I mean,
She's like,
whatever.
Tequila,
like,
do it on Tuesdays.
No, tequila I can't do. We will have to shut the whole thing down. We'll get banned on Facebook.
Which is pretty tough to do.
If tequila, we're going down and we're bringing everybody with us.
Yeah.
That could be an entertaining show.
It could be. You know what? When you want your final send off, when you're like, fuck Meta, fuck Facebook, fuck Mark Zuckerberg. See, I'm going to get banned by saying that. That's what you do as your send off for it. But sometimes you can get banned for nothing. I got banned last year twice, and I didn't do anything. So I actually I know what it was. It was posting our own podcast into my own Facebook group. That's what banned me. They classified it as spam and I got kicked off. I'm like, it's my own Facebook group. How is that spam?
Yep.
But you are right. I mean, like, you know what? In real world, shit goes wrong, right? And this is why, for us, and why we do our show, and why we wanted to sponsor you guys and what you guys do, because you are two raw, real, and authentic individuals. Right? You speak the truth. You wear your emotions on your sleeve in a good way, to be able to just share what's raw and real. And when you do things that are raw and real that aren't as polished, it's real life. Real life isn't polished, right? That goes back to the whole topic about the fakeness that you see on there. Like, you know what? No, like, yeah, you know what? We ended our broadcast. We had internet difficulties. That's real. You think about meetings in real life. If you ever want to watch a funny YouTube video, Google meetings in real life, and you'll laugh your ass off, because that's what meetings can be like. Online meets real life. But I do want to get into our random question generator, because I think this is a good time to get into that part of the show. So who wants to go first? Leslie or Cassie? Actually, we're going to go with Leslie, because Leslie didn't have the privilege of doing the random question on her podcast, because we were condensing it down into 20 minutes. So she gets to go first with the random question. Now, Leslie, and by the way, the random question generator is brought to you by On Purpose Media, the local HVAC marketing specialists, onpurposemedia.ca, in case you want to get in touch with them, aka us. What's that?
And our new gold sponsor.
There you go. The new gold sponsor, On Purpose Media, of the Power Women of the Trade. So you get to choose one of three questions. You don't get to know what the questions are. You just get to choose 1, 2, or 3. One. What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
Well, my senior year in high school, I was dance captain of the dance team, which is like the cheerleaders, except we dance. And we had practice during regular school hours because we were on a block schedule. So I canceled practice, and we stole my older sister's car and drove to Dallas, which is about 120 miles away, so I could get a tattoo, because they weren't allowed in Oklahoma. And nobody knew where we were. I took 3 of my friends, and that's the most spontaneous thing I've ever done. So
what was that tattoo of?
Is it that tattoo?
I got a tramp stamp, and the craziest part of this is Dallas is probably 120 miles away from us, and on the way back, my friend, we had taken my sister's white Camry. My friend got us from Dallas to Norman, and I am not kidding you, like 45 minutes. She said, it was dangerous how fast she was driving this car. I looking back on it, I can't believe it. And then I think we did get pulled over in Norman. She somehow didn't get a ticket. But anyways, my mom never found out. And I remember feeling so guilty about it, that I had done this. And my mom never knew that I told her I did it. And then she grounded me for one day. And this is the year 2000. So Y2K. The biggest thing that she could have grounded me from was New Year's Eve. So it was my senior year. I didn't get to go out with my friends on New Year's Eve in the year. It was 1999 going into 2000. I was the class 2000. So there you have it.
That's good.
Well,
good
so
mom.
the adage of drive it like
bring
you
them.
stole it rings true.
Yeah, you did. Feel it. That was a good one. I'm glad I didn't get that question because I suck at that. I would have been like, I booked a vacation. I don't have that story.
What was appropriate to say on this too, and it was like
you could say there's nothing inappropriate you can say.
Yeah. That was
all right. That's a good one. Cassie, you're up.
I had to do the same question.
Oh yeah, no, same different question. Different question.
Different
You
question.
gotta choose. You gotta choose 1, 2, or 3.
I was like, I don't want it. 1. Oh God.
Who inspires you? Oh no, sorry. What dumb accomplishment are you most proud of?
What dumb accomplishment
are you most proud of?
Leslie, do you have anything for me?
I was getting ready to say when you sold LuLaRoe.
Sold what?
LuLaRoe. Leslie, so LuLaRoe is a MLM.
I'm going to tag podcast because he'll think this is hilarious.
LuLaRoe is an MLM, which Leslie and I both sold. And it was clothing, and we had to build a team. And, I mean, that was probably good. I still have like nightmares and feel guilt about that. So I don't know if I could ever feel an accomplishment. Like I feel guilt for like getting these women to come sell it with me. It was like $6,000 investment. And I guess I was a good salesperson. So maybe LuLaRoe.
It was part of your journey here today as an owner. And marketing, I mean, all that. A lot of MLMs, like network marketing, you kind of get to see what you're made of because you don't have a choice.
And you have to be raw, and you have to. Everyone's always like, Cassie, you share so much on social media, and I have marketed myself on social media for a really long time, and I think sometimes people like misinterpret. I do share out of my heart, and I want to continue to share, but I've always done that. Like I always joke I was like the original influencers, one of the original influencers. Cause like I've done that for so long that goes back to those MLMs to sell, but to continue to show. There's people who know a lot about me and my kids and my family, but when their plumbing and their HVAC systems break down, they're calling us. And I've done that by relating to them on a consistent basis. And so that maybe that's dumb too. So
now, hold on. I got a question. Did you win a car at the MLM?
No, Lord, no. We weren't that good.
Oh, okay.
Right?
There's always a car involved.
Right?
Dangerous, but no, we didn't. I never got a car.
No, not a car. I mean, I've spent more than I ever made.
Traditional MLM.
Yep. It was a traditional MLM and a traditional. What I did take a lot of dumb mistakes from that into this business because although the thing is it's like boss babes, you can do it at home, but the truth is they don't know not everyone knows how to run a business, and I didn't. And so I definitely learned some big things that carried over.
I'm curious what would be the biggest thing that you learned while doing the MLM that you apply to your business?
That you need to know what you're doing. You need to know when the money comes into the bank account, it's not just there to spend. It has purposes. Just the things that I still think that a lot of contractors in our space do badly too, of just not knowing anything about business. Like you genuinely do have to, it's fine to jump into anything and not know, but you have to put in some work to learn.
Yep.
And that's where those coaches and those things come. And I just was following that I'm going to get rich because this lady told me I would by selling these clothes. And I don't have to know anything. I sold that to my husband. I told him, babe, I don't even have to do anything. I just like get on there and hold the shirt up and I sell it. And then and then all this money is going to come. And he didn't believe me, for the record, but he just was like, do your thing, girl. And
like every supportive husband should be.
Yeah.
He's just like, whatever, take the $6,000 and do whatever. Just
I'll say, look, on that time for me and LuLaRoe, and what it has taught me is, number one, perception is everything to the buyer. Perception, social media, the social media construct of the perception, how you present yourself, your personal brand, whether or not we like it or not, we're all on this podcast building a personal brand for our business brand, right? And so all of that is kind of crucial in the society we live in. And whether we like it or not, or whether you want to participate in it or not, you really have to. And so you have to be very like intentional about how you're perceived, what you're posting, what you're revealing about yourself, you know? And I mean, again, it's like a double-edged sword. We get back to, we don't want to be sold a bill of goods, and we want to be raw, but you can be raw and real and show the good and the bad. But all of that, truthfully, like looking back on that, some of that crap that I did, I was like, it's like I'm secondhand embarrassment looking back at that time that I ever did that. But it honestly, it was the way that God was preparing me for what we're doing now. So Absolutely. It's like, you know what I mean?
And I think that's what even led us to our podcast too, is we had, when, you know, I was talking to Leslie over and over and over about it. I was like, we have a story that has to be told, and not just as women in the space, but how we got here and how we're going to inspire the next leaders of our space. You know, like I say this all the time, this world is just full of adults who are processing the traumas of their life without a playbook. Like, I need to trademark that.
Yeah,
but that is like,
put that shit on a shirt.
That is like, we are just adults processing trauma, and that comes into everything. That comes into our work, our kids, our business, our personal, everything. And until we can start just acknowledging, like, you can look at some of these people on social media, myself included, and think what they're selling and pushing and whatever is they're trying to overcome something else that they are missing through the years. And so anyways, it's just, that's the gig for us. Like, we just want to showcase that. And, you know, I circled back to that, but every woman has a story. No one is just, I can't pick one person in this world and just be like, tell me how perfect your life has been your entire life. And tell me, you know, no one's got that. Everyone has had something happen, and those traumas and those experiences have all defined us.
Speaking of trauma, Jessica Woodruff Smith just said that I'm spare parts. I mean, Jessica, I feel like your life's so sad. I just got a charity receipt for hanging out with you at Women in HVAC.
So that's a reference to a nice little Canadian show called Letterkenny.
And funny enough, you mentioned influencers in this season. They talked about how influencers, they didn't reference it as influencers. They called them influenzas, which was also hilarious, right? Like, so accurate and so hilarious. Jessica, you're 10 ply. You're so soft. Come on now.
Love Jessica.
She is.
Oh man, I wish I had the Roadcaster hooked up right now.
I know. Sorry for the inside jokes there, but that's.
No, you're fine. We're just like.
It's totally lost, but I'm just gonna go along with it.
Yeah.
Just watch the show Letterkenny. Just watch the show Letterkenny, and you'll understand.
Yeah. It's about Hicks, Skids, and Jocks. It's small town Canada, and it is the funniest show. I absolutely love it.
Is it on Netflix?
Like my childhood. No, Hulu.
It is not on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, Hulu in the States, Crave in Canada, and it's amazing. They just came out with season 11. It's amazing. Canada's favorite chip flavors was the first show, and it is 100% accurate. All right. Sorry for the side banter there, but that was just too funny. I couldn't let it go. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining and being in the chat, because that's amazing. Or Jessica, sorry, not Stephanie. I was reading Stephanie. Yeah. Anyways.
That's fine. The
Whiskeys. what were we talking about before that? Because it was really good.
Trauma, life,
Trauma,
love,
dumb accomplishments, LuLaRoe, tramp stamps. Take your pick.
We have
Sorry.
been all over the place.
That was a great summary right there. No, it was the trauma piece, and this was actually I was in a relationship course in September, and that was one of the things that they talked about there was like every time that you're in a confrontation, whether it's with your significant other or an employee, anytime that you're meeting some point of resistance with them, it's because there's a wounding that's there that existed from trauma, and it's their 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 4-year-old self. Whenever they experience that trauma, that's who you're getting mad at in that moment.
That's
because that's who's showing up, right?
My counselor says that. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for counseling, and exactly that. You go back to that, and that's what you get. And when I started recognizing, my kids have a whole story of their life that I don't share very often, but we're a blended family, so previous to being with us. But whenever I learned that, I started recognizing behaviors in my children that I could help them through, because I could understand that as much as you want to be like, are you a 3-year-old? And yeah, they were. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's it. But again, we talking about that helps people, because for some reason we put up these walls and these things of saying I can't be bad. I can't have issues because everyone's perfect and no one has any problems. And that's not true. That's not true at all. And so when we start showing that and helping people find that path to their own issues to work through, I think that's when you start like building people up and doing the work you're supposed to be doing.
Totally. Well, and
I always think about how, I think this happens when you become a parent, is you become really cognizant of how you address adversity in your own life. And something when I had my little babies, as it changed me, is I want my kids to see me asking for help from somebody else, a therapist, a support or recovery group. I want them to physically see me asking for help so that they will ask for help, right? And they won't internalize. And I love that. I would love to hear about your relationship conference you went to. Like, I just love dissecting that stuff, because it's so true. The things that we're so resistant to, and that trigger us, and we don't know why. It's like, okay, why am I triggered? I'm triggered because it's me. Where is this coming from? Who cares about this person? Why is this triggering me?
Right.
Well, that's something that's not talked about enough. And I wanted to reference the fact, for any of the macho guys that don't want to talk about touchy-feely bullshit, hey, it's real. And just because you pay attention to it and you're aware of it doesn't make you soft. Okay?
Hey, listen,
it's only Jessica that's 10-ply.
Yeah,
but
I have 5 boys. I have 6 children and I have 5 boys. And people have always said, oh, I bet that's so easy. Boys are easier. I am here to tell you that, and I also employ a lot of men. Men have just as the same emotion as women. Yep. You just haven't ever felt allowed to share it and show it.
Correct.
And I have had a physical altercation in my building of people, things that it just never had to escalate to that if they felt they could share.
Yep. And
it sucks. And I'm saying that I literally can say that, and whoever's out here in my office listening is probably like, preaching to the choir, lady. Because it's hard. It's hard to do that. But the more that you encourage it in others, the more that you do it for yourself too.
Yep.
Love a man that can talk about his feelings. He's a king.
Yeah.
He can do that.
I like it. Oscar's good at it too. He's probably, if we ever did that, more sensitive, and the person had that thing, I'd be like, or
you'd put up his shoe.
Yeah. He would. He's, and I'm not really sensitive, but me, I can literally cut you off. And
she can.
Well, and see, this is something else that was interesting that they talked about at that course was how you show up when confrontation shows up. is how you responded as a child. So it was something that happened as a child that forced you to respond that way.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's true. 100%.
Whether you stand up and fight, whether you freeze, or whether you flee is entirely based on what you did as a child. So in this course, the guy that was running it,
or fawn, there's fight, you
freeze.
can freeze or fawn, which is when you become like a people pleaser and you're just like
catering to everyone.
Yeah.
Right. The gentleman that was at the course, when he was 5, his dad left and took off. And so his response ever since then, and it shows up still in his relationship, is when there's an issue, I need to fight now. We're dealing with this now, because if I don't, you leave me.
Yeah. God, all that stuff comes out, right? Like all, you're talking about, you're just processing trauma as an adult. We're still processing trauma as a kid, because it really goes back to your kid. And it comes up. I mean, and think how often it comes up in your marriage, even when it's been addressed and readdressed. It comes up. It's default. So you have to work even harder to get outside of your default.
100%.
But the problem is too, though, is as adults, we point back and say we are processing the traumas of our childhood, but we don't process the traumas of our adulthood either, because things happen and we put it down and carry on.
Ignore and override.
And then until everything comes down, and it's like, I never took time to process that. I never took time to go through what I needed to go through. And I'm terrible. Like, I'll get mad at you from 3 weeks ago that you didn't even know I was mad about, because I didn't want to talk about it now, but now you pissed me off about something else. So I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm working on that, but I'm a stuffer. I stuff it and move on because I'm too busy to have to deal with it otherwise. But
100%.
We're just as guilty as adults too, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, it's the default pattern that we go back to, right? And here's the interesting thing, like as business owners, we often go through a lot more personal development type things to be aware of more of this than most of our staff. And so how is it that I'm very curious. So both of you seem like you have dove into this. You've seen counseling, you've seen therapists, you've read books, whatever it is for you. I'm curious how you're bringing this back to your office and how it is that you're working with your staff to bring this level of self-awareness to them.
You have to do one-on-ones. For me, that's what works for us, and that's what we do. But every single time, if someone quits or someone's upset or there's a conflict in the office, almost every single time I can point back and say to that manager, when was your last one-on-one with that person? When did you stop the one-on-ones? How were things before when you had the one-on-ones? And almost every time there was a disconnect in communication. And then when you start spiraling. Yep. Well, I'm not having my one-on-ones because they don't like me anymore. They're trying to fire me. They want to get rid of me. And you just spiral, and none of that's happening. Everyone just got busy. But
right.
So
create the story in your head for whatever your wounding is, and there it is.
I tell everybody all the time in our sales and service and all of our meetings. We are a meeting company for sure, and I know they're probably done with meetings, but I always remind people that you have to communicate in every aspect of your life, even if you don't want to. Your wife and your girlfriend is looking for you to communicate. Everybody wants some sort of communication, and you have to figure out how you communicate and do that, and how you want to be communicated. Because some people don't, one-on-ones are awkward, and we have someone that prefers, I need to type out my thoughts, and fine, but we're going to talk about them still, because not talking about it creates further issue.
Definitely does.
We've got all over the place in this one.
It's been great.
How
does it show?
Welcome to a podcast with Thaddeus and Evan.
Love it.
Whiskey. Takes you all over the place.
I'm feeling left out. I'm not drinking whiskey. I just don't think this was the time for me to start on this podcast to start drinking whiskey. It's just
where's the Corona? What happened?
I got shy.
You finished?
I'm drinking out of this. It's a Sam Adams.
Here I am.
It's a Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, since you just tuned in, can you please bring Leslie a shot? I think she needs to.
He's the best. So, and
just chimed in.
For us, I will say for us, like, Brent and I are really transparent about just our struggles and like marriage being hard, life being difficult. And so we've always really been wanting to better ourselves and been in counseling or whatever it may be. So anything that we learn that helps us, we take to our team, and we actually subsidize out mental health for our team at the counseling place that we go to, where they just have to pay a little bit of money so that their spouses can go, their kids can go. I don't know how many times since Brent put a couch in his office, he said, I put this couch in my office and the guys will come in and lay on the couch and just talk to him. And they're not talking about plumbing or their calls. Like, they're opening up. And so it's always interesting how, and Brent has had a difficult life. That's his story to tell. But, and where he is today, I mean, he is the champion. He is why we're called Champion Plumbing, because he's my champion, and he can tell a story about his life and how he got here. But when they start opening up to him, and that's where he was, 20 years ago. I mean, it's just, it comes full circle, and it's amazing how that kind of all works together, because he's had to grow to a space that he could be in a position to mentor somebody, and to have an impact, and he had nobody doing that for him ever. He never had anyone mentoring him in the way that he's mentoring these guys. So it's really cool to see.
For sure. For sure.
Well, and that's a fascinating concept as well, in terms of, what is it? Why is it that people show up the way that they do? And you could ask the same person who grew up with a similar experience to Brent, and they might respond with, well, I grew up this way. I'd never had a mentor. Of course, I'm not going to mentor anyone else. I don't know how to. Whereas he's shown up in a way of, I didn't grow up with one, so I've had the opportunity to learn. And of course, I'm going to show up and mentor other people.
Yeah, that's his heart. Like, his heart is to, he will say it time and time again. Like, he wants to bring respect back to the trades, to plumbing is in our area. They are not the bottom of the barrel people, and they need to know that. They need to have someone in authority over them telling them this is what you're capable of. And it's just having someone believing in you and encouraging you, but also holding you accountable and not enabling. So I mean, it's rough. Like, at the shop, it's rough. Like, everyone in the shop, you got to be tough, right? You got to be tough to hang out at Champion Plumbing, because there's just a certain level that you have to level up to.
Right. Well, and Brent did chime in the chat here, so I'll make sure we throw that in there. He said ride-alongs are also super important, keeping the pulse of your people. Absolutely. That's how you're going to get that raw, real, and authentic side of someone, when you're sitting in the truck side by side, shoulder to shoulder, going out, running calls together. It's super, super important.
Well, and you have that conversation, right? And like, you think about, Brett and what he grew up with, and now he's changing that and trying to give forward to other people. I've been a long proponent that you're not necessarily a product of, you can always change your circumstances. You just have to have that mindset to be able to change your circumstances. I volunteered with an organization for 8 years. I've seen kids from grade 6 all the way through to grade 12, actually grade 4 to grade 12. That would have been better math. Actually, I still think that's off, but still, regardless of Thad's math inabilities, the idea of that, if somebody's brought into a shitty circumstance and a shitty situation, we're dealing with marginalized youth. People have lower socioeconomic status, broken home lives, shitty this, shitty that, shitty everything. But there's people that can change. You can be a product if you want to change that, right? Now, once you get to that point, now you've actually come from there. Now you can be able to give back, to be able to see that. You think about somebody like Ed Milet, comes to mind. When you talk about what his family came through, and coming from family drunks, that his great-grandfather died in a gutter. Now to come to where he's at, because he changed his mindset to be able to help give back to individuals. And that's really where it comes from. What do you want to give back to? What do you want to do with your life?
Okay.
Love it. Love it.
I love it. For sure.
Well, I think, I don't
I think
even know
we've
how
been
long.
all over the place.
I think we've touched on pretty much everything. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the podcast and the launch of it and all of that?
I think Leslie and I just hope that you guys or everyone just tunes in and comes with open ears to hear some amazing stories. We have put a lot of effort, not just that we put a lot of effort and work into it, but we are really excited. You know, this has nothing to do with Leslie and I. We really wanted to just take that time to just show the capabilities that are out there and what women can do. And we have to say, I mean, we've touched on it a few times, but we really couldn't do this podcast without support. And we're super thankful for On Purpose Media for jumping in to support us. And you guys were one of the first people that said, you know, whatever you need, let us help you, let us do it. We'll do it. We'll jump in, you know, and jumping in monetarily and giving, you know, paying a sponsorship for two girls that are on a mission. That just says a lot about you guys, your character, who you are, what you're, and that's doing the work, you know, that's doing the work that we're trying to do for the women that we're trying to showcase and for the future women of the trades as well. So we're super thankful for you guys. And I think that I love that this podcast kind of was all over the place for a little bit, because again, we needed to see that, because we're so stressed about like, what do we do? What do we say? What if we, you know, I mean, we got plans, but everybody has plans. And
we're doing it from Atlanta and some like,
tell you what, send us, DM us what time you're on. We'll be in the cheerleader section cheering you guys on.
Cheerleaders, not hecklers.
No, cheerleaders. No, I mean, we might heckle a little bit.
Heckle. Well, when Leslie messaged me, she was like, they're wanting us to go live from the HR. And, you know, Leslie runs a plumbing business. So, and they don't have HVAC at all. So she was like, also, what is HR? You know, and I was like, yeah, so here's the deal about HR. It's massive, you know, like
kind of big-ish.
real big. And so, and I know where I have. Yeah, and she reached out to me on LinkedIn. She goes, "Have you ever heard of AHR?" And I said, "No, but thank you for thinking of us. Like, that's so cool. It's AHR." And they were probably like, "You're a dumbass. You know, we don't do heat and air, and we will, but we don't yet." And then I ask you, like, Leslie, this is the largest conference there is for people like me.
Like everyone who says that this is the largest, like this is the largest. I'm just baffled.
What is it, like that? 60,000 to 80,000 people a day?
Mm-hmm. Look at Leslie's face.
I know, that's why I said it.
All over the world.
International building.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And I know Leslie. Okay, so listen, y'all. I know her, and so I'm like, I'm treading lightly. I'm like, it's gonna be good. It'll be fine. It's fine. How many people? I'm like,
doesn't matter.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry for spoiling that for you. I mean, you're already committed now, so I mean, I guess you do, damn if you don't.
There's just going to be translators in front of the stage, translating into 17 different languages, including sign language.
It's not the Olympics. I know that much. I'm working on my HVAC link. I'm going to talk about capacitors and 16 steers.
It's the TXV.
Capacitors.
Is that what it is? A capacitor?
A capacitor. Hey, this is like my team. Capacitor. My team makes fun of me about a thermocouple because I was teaching a training one time, and I was talking about providing options, and I could not come up with anything besides a thermocouple. Like I was like, and then, you know, and option 1 is your thermocouple, and option 2 was your thermocouple and this, and then I was like, what is a thermocouple? Like
But see, I'm gonna touch on something real here. But you know what? Like Leslie's like, oh fuck, I just made an ass of myself. No, but here's the thing: is that we've had business owners on our show that, you know, 10, 25, $50 million, heck, even $100 million, that have never ran a single call in their entire lives. yet they're running a very successful business. And I'll repeat that. People that are doing $50 million per year as a business, and they have never ran a single call in their life. You don't need to know the terminology to a T. That's what you have technicians for. Your job is on the back end of the business. Your job is running the business. Your job is people. Your job is profit and loss. Your job is making sure the business runs smoothly. You put somebody in a tech that knows what a capacitor is and the TXV and the thermocouple and all that terminology, and you put them into an office and you say, hey, tell me what a profit and loss statement means. They'll be like, no clue. What's a P? What, you know, or if you say P&L, like what's a P&L, right? So it goes back and forth, right? So don't feel too bad. Don't feel too bad.
And you don't do HVAC. There's no reason to be embarrassed about that. So you don't do HVAC.
If I want to talk about tankless water heaters or whatever, I can talk to you all day long.
Yeah. Hey, when we started plumbing, I would call Leslie and say, so they said something about this. Is that for real? And she's like, yes, that's a plumbing term. Yeah, I didn't know. I knew HVAC. So
they need to change the name of some of the things, you know, like a silcock. Let's call it an outdoor faucet. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just leaving yourself open for dirty jokes all day long.
Especially them when they start talking about we'll get the female side of this or that. And I'm like, can we come up with something else? Yeah.
Our mind goes to
I've always just called it an outdoor faucet. So,
well, here we call it a silcock.
Have you done plumbing? Yeah.
It's okay. I guess we got to blow our cocks out every winter. God. Okay, I said it. This is probably a good time to.
We're all getting banned. All the whole team's out here like, what is happening? Like,
I could resist. I feel kind of bad. I think my face went red for the first time ever on the show.
We set you up.
Yeah, it was a layup. It was just right there.
Yeah, I had to take it. Sorry, not sorry. So, of course, if you want to have more professional podcasts than what we have, check them out. They have facebook.com/Power Women of the Trades. If you want to reach out to Leslie and Cassie directly, info@powerwomenofthetrades.com. And soon you can reach them on the interwebs, powerwomenofthetrades.com. It is not up yet because they launched prior to when they're ready, but hey, you know what? Done is better than perfect. So every winter is a long wait.
That was your husband.
So he gets it. And he's sleeping not in the house tonight. Always a fantastic conversation, Leslie and Cassie. We do value everything that you guys are doing for the trades and for women in the trades as well. Fantastic individuals. We have one final question. Who is going? Actually, you know what? Cass has already asked us. We're going to go with Leslie on this one. Leslie, what is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but don't?
Oh, you did this to me in Phoenix.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I think it's just like, are you okay?
Right.
Are you okay?
Leslie, are you okay?
I'm not okay. I'm not. No, I think that's the question. Yeah. Like, are you okay? Right. Are you okay? No. Instead of how are you? Because we just automatically respond to that. It's, are you okay?
I like it.
A little more concern behind it.
Yeah. Or pay attention. Pay attention when you know they're not okay. Because I just tell myself, I know I need to ask her that more. But I know when she's not okay, and she knows when I'm not okay. I have been driving, and I'm like, ignore and drive back, and she's like, what is wrong? And I'm like, well, actually, thanks for asking. So be willing to hear the answer when you ask are you okay?
Well, that's almost a question that begs permission, right? You know, like you have permission to tell me what is on your mind, how you're feeling, whether you're actually okay or not. Because the reality is that everybody has their own shit and everybody's going through something. And sometimes they just need to get it off their chest. And all you have to do is sit there and listen. You know, as the old saying goes, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, listen twice as much as you talk. And sometimes that's just sit back and listen to their problems and don't even offer advice. Just let them vent.
Never.
Yep.
Never offer advice.
Nope.
Especially when you're talking to a woman, you just sit and listen. Ask more questions. Ask more questions and listen.
Like
You really listen.
there's a story behind that, Evan.
I
He
mean,
learned that in his relationship conference.
I learned a lot there. No, one of the things that I love and I've always talked about is how do you spell love? And it's Time. Right?
That's
it's
right.
The time that you're putting in, it's in the quality of time that you're putting in. And yes, you just shut up and listen and actually listen. And there was a, gosh, how long ago was that? Must have been over 10 years now that I listened to this woman that was speaking. And she was talking about how do you know that when your husband, your spouse loves you? And it's not when he tells you that he loves you. It's when he asks you, how was your day? And he's actually looking at you and listening.
Love is an action.
Love is an action.
That's great.
Good. That is good.
I feel like we could go off on a completely another topic, but I'm going to save that for a future time when we get together, because I think we're probably, by the time we blend both of these two episodes together, we're probably already at an hour and a half. I don't know, because we accidentally ended the first one. So
An hour and a half?
My bad.
Yeah, I will. His bad. It's more like, actually, an hour and 25 minutes roughly.
Yep.
But I will be the first to say thank you for taking the time to be on our show. Thank you for being you guys authentically, and thank you for launching Power Women of the Trades. I think that podcast is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and we can't wait to be a part of the success of that show.
We're so grateful, you guys.
For sure.
Awesome.
We're grateful for you too. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Can't wait to see you in Atlanta.
Yeah. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
We're going to come back with past teams.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.